Brings up 2nd down and 9. Marshall drops back, gets Bell, and Velasquez gets him. Hello.
That time, the Olympians came out with 2 wide receivers on both sides of the field and then 1 back offense. And they threw to Little Bell over there in the flat, but he was drilled by Velasquez. Double 2 wide receivers on both sides, 3-step drop. The ball almost was batted, but Bell gets stopped in its tracks for a very short gain.
Great tackle, too. That was textbook. Marshall dropping back, heavy rush, big hit, broken up, and a flag down as it would appear English got hit right around the ball getting there. I didn't think it was an early hit, but definitely Marshall got drilled after throwing the football.
That was Mike Milner doing the drilling and probably getting the penalty.
Pass interference against the Bruins. On top of that, a personal foul against the Bruins.
Ouch.
So that's a double hit, and then add insult to injury, a player shaken up on the field for the Bruins. So we'll take a break. Players shaken up on the field, and the football moving forward for Leuzinger. Clock stopped with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third. Up, but as he gets closer to the sideline, he walks with less and less of a limp.
He wants to come back in, that's why. He could be really hurt, but these kids want to stay and play football.
When you call a timeout on the field for an injury, you got to come out of the game. Kind of the cost of getting that timeout called. 1st down and 10 for Leuzinger. That pass, a submarine ball, and far too low for the intended receiver, Terrence Hill.
Well, the Olympians are trying to stretch out the defense for the Bruins, Willie. They're having 2 wide receivers on both sides of the field, and they have 1 back, and that means they'll have to. The Bruins have to come out with a stretch type of defense and probably a nickel type of defense where they bring in more defensive backs.
Where have you gone, Terrion Fontenot? Haven't seen him or heard from him in a while. He busted a 68-yard run in the first quarter for the lead. Intercepted, 2nd interception of the game for Rashawn Brooks. He might as well have been the intended receiver.
He had excellent defensive position, Willie. And that was a very easy interception, and it was a lot of pursuit on the part of the defensive line, and the rover and the strong safety came in on blitzes. That ball was just thrown up for grabs.
And the answer to the question, where have you gone, Terrion Fontenot? Well, he's on the sideline with a jersey on and some sweats. He's gone, pads are off, no mas. Well, that's a weapon that the Olympians could use. And that certainly bolsters the Bruins' chances. They've got the football, 1st down and 10 at the 11. Battle rolling to his left, making it a tough proposition to throw the football. Runs and picks up a couple.
Well, we'll see the Bruins try to run the football a little bit more, having an 11-point lead, eating up as much time off the clock as they can. A little bit too early to try to go into a delay game, but they do run the football very well. You know, on the double wing T, Willie, they try to run the ball between the tackle and the wide receiver, or some type of corridor that can be established. And when you're running that wing T, if you can get the initial blocks on the left or right side of the line, or the pulling guards, then in a pitch play or something like that, you're really doing it very, very well. As we look at number 78, Fabian Guerin, who is getting up very gingerly. Looks like an ankle or a thigh.
That's another problem with players that goes both ways and become fatigued. They become very susceptible to injury, and they're dropping like flies now.
Yeah, this is the 3rd lineman that we have seen in this football game that has had to come off. Now, he's coming off on his own power, so it doesn't seem like an emergency or a major injury. He's kind of jogging off right now. May have been a cramp, meaning that he needs to get some fluids in him to try to loosen himself up.
Of course, that's easy for us to say. We're not down there, and we're not the one coming off the field because we're injured. Second down, 7. Pass, and there's a man open. Gaither holds on to that. He is out of here. It was on his fingertips, but not that he was going to get hit, but he had kind of those alligator arms that are just kind of short. He didn't, if he had had him completely outstretched, I think he might have had a chance.
Absolutely should have had that football. That could have been. See, that's the difference between, as we look at it here, he comes right out of his wing position. He just broke concentration on that. It was a difficult ball to catch because it's coming right over his head, but he definitely could have had that football, and it could have been 23-6 as we speak.
Well, the tough thing about that is that he's thinking long ball. He's thinking touchdown. If he dives and makes the play, he doesn't get the touchdown, but they get 30 yards. Sometimes you have to set your sights a little lower and make a not as great a play, but still pick up huge yards.
Well, he was really in stride, he really should have had that football, and it was really not an easy catch. Anytime that ball is coming over your head, you have to have great concentration, and he was probably expecting that he might get hit by a safety as soon as he caught the ball. But that's a money catch, and if you're going to go to the next level, you really have to make it. Nicely designed play, incidentally.
Punting situation, and Leuzinger expecting good field position. Donald Bell is at midfield, and a timeout is called by Wilson with 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter. Time to take a break. 17-6, Bruins have an 11-point lead, but bad play here, and it could be disastrous. Low snap, Lahara holds on, gets off a line drive kick that Bell fields at his own 43. Nice move. He's across midfield, and down he goes. Good coverage by the Bruins. Nice move initially, however, as getting deked was Curly Dorn.
But looks like Bell is hurt down there. It looks like an ankle.
Falling like flies, I said.
Or a knee. Looks like a thigh or a knee. He's in pain.
These players get fatigued, can easily get in a compromised position. And it's a real shame, particularly for an athlete like Donald Bell, who does not have the size but has a heart that must be easily as big as anyone out there. And this could spell the end for him tonight.
And that would be a big loss. We've already seen 3 linemen go out. And now Bell, of course, he's getting up. A lot of times these injuries don't really become apparent until the day after, when your body kind of degenerates a little bit, comes down and gets calmed down, and you get those sores and nicks and even those breaks or strains.
First down and 10. New quarterback in, Marshall out. Into the lineup is Chaz Foster. Foster, whose only completion was on the fake punt. He completes his second pass to Marshall, who was the quarterback and who was also the receiver on that fake punt.
We were told that these guys would do musical chairs at quarterback, that David Marshall would get the nod to start the football game, but Chaz Foster would see action. And as a result, we have seen both quarterbacks a couple of times exchanging positions in this football game.
This is an important game not only for the Bruins, as well as not only for Leuzinger, but particularly for the Moore League, who has seen their team struggle outside of Pauley, the other Long Beach schools, Wilson, Milliken, Jordan, and Lakewood, as the pass incomplete intended for Marshall, but again, on the coverage, Rashawn Brooks, who already has 2 picks. The flag is down, being the spot where you usually get a hold. Wait and see the call, but the 4 Long Beach schools collectively 0-8 after the first 2 weeks and have been pummeled on the scoreboard. Holding is the call against Leuzinger. Losing the closest has been Lakewood, having given up 53 points to their 26. Wilson losing next closest at 29-63 points, 4 points against. Milliken scoring just 3, giving up 86. Jordan scoring 8, but giving up 123 in the first 2 games. And then add to that, losing 57-12 in their third game. So a Moore League team outside of Pauley and Long Beach needs to put up a W. And Leuzinger is just as good as an opponent to get it against. So this game has got a lot riding on it.
Those are some ugly statistics that you just recited, Willie, and but they are facts. And as we see a draw play, and Sapau Isaiah was blocked on that particular play, which allowed the Olympians to gain a first down on some good running. Nicely designed play.
Those numbers not intended to bring down those programs. They're intended to kind of verify and solidify my point that this is a critical game for the Bruins. Dorn gets deked, but the pass falls incomplete. Looking for Terrence Hill was Foster, but again, a pass by Foster that's just way too low. Terrence Hill, 2 times he's been the intended target, has seen the pass at his ankles.
Well, that's because the rush for the Bruins has been very, very successful. The strong safety and the rover for the Bruins have done a fine job at harassing whatever quarterback that the Olympians have had in there. Curly Dorn, the rover, and Craig Richardson, the strong safety, putting a lot of pressure in on the quarterbacks for the Olympians.
Indeed, musical chairs at quarterback to see who gets to sit in the hot seat. Another fake punt up the middle and a first down and more as it's Donald Bell. He's going to be down at the 5. Donald Bell, he looked like he was hurt, might be out for the rest of the game. Told you. He's got a huge heart, and his knee's about 4 feet away from it.
Well, you know, he really tipped off himself. I don't know why the Bruins did not realize that might be another trick play with Bell right there, and as a middle guy, almost, you know, looked like he was just going to be a blocker. But he just gets the ball is hiked to him, and he runs straight up the middle and fooled the Bruins again.
Visions of Mike Ono, no longer at Jordan High School, but an offense and a special teams performance worthy of an Ono-like team. Disarray and a timeout, I got a feeling is going to be called. They got to wait. Finally, Johnson gets off. That is just unbelievable what the Bruins just did, unless there was movement by Leuzinger. Lamar Johnson had to sprint the entire length of the field to get off before Leuzinger could run the play. And then, as soon as they got ready for play, one of the Bruins jumped. Was he drawn? That is the question. It doesn't look like he was. It's encroachment against the Bruins. Half the distance to the goal.
That's 4th encroachment penalty for the Bruins tonight.
But what caused them to jump? As soon as Johnson got off the field, quarterback turned around, boom, they jumped. 1st and goal at the 1. On the doorstep, Leuzinger looking to get back in this ball game. They appear to be in, yes.
Now that was big. That was a big touchdown. That was a big play call by the offensive coordinator, Bobby Greer of the Leuzinger Olympians. And it puts them back in the ball game 17-12 right now. Now the question is whether they will go for 2 points and make it 17-14, or whether they go for 1 point to make it 17-13.
Down by 4 or down by 5, what's the difference? You got to go for 2, get it back to a field goal that can tie it. If you're down by 4 points, you might as well be down by 5.
Still, it's early in the football game, 2:23 left in the 3rd quarter. You know you're going to get a chance to come back 2 or 3 times, so they could go for 1.
But if you get it down to 3, that means you only have to score 1 time and make that a field goal. If it's a 4 or 5 point difference, you got to get in the end zone. Field goal won't do it for you.
Mute point, they're going to go for 2.
Football's loose point after is no good. Granted, they could have gotten to 13, but it wouldn't have done them much good. With that point after being missed, 5-point lead for the Bruins, 17-12. Wilson leads it.
Got ourselves a good football game.
And we'll take a break. And brought to you by Ed Dot Sports. Got a good one, 17-12. Bruins lead it. And one thing you got to like about Bob Greer, coach of Leuzinger, he's got a little good old boy in him. like a little riverboat gambler, and he was laying it on the line when they faked the punt at midfield.
Great gutsy call.
That fails, and the Bruins are in business. Instead, down to the 3-yard line were the Olympians. Great call, and they pulled it off well second time.
Still, the Leuzinger Olympians will have to figure out how to stop the run and also the pass, because the wings for the Bruins, and I'm talking about Velasquez and Gaither, are running pass patterns out of their wing position as well as blocking and running. So the Olympians have a lot to think about how they're going to stop the Bruins, who've been moving the ball quite well, thank you, starting in the second half of the first quarter.
And you get the impression that the coaching staffs for the two teams in very polar situations. For Wilson High School, a young head coach, Greg Gibson, in a very tough situation, trying to get this program jump-started. He's 0-2 on the season, really needs this victory, and is playing it a little close to the vest, wants to do things right, wants to get in the win and not, pull around anything and cause his team to make any mistakes that might cost them dearly. On the other hand, you've got Bob Greer, who he looks like he'll sleep well tonight, win or lose. And, he plays like it. Hey, let's take a chance. What the heck? Worst thing that can happen is we don't get it. Battle, pass, way, way, way over the head of the intended receiver, incomplete, as it looked like he was at least throwing it to Miller, but, it was way, way over his head.
Is it Miller or Milliner?
I got Miller on
Miller,
this roster.
okay. I've been saying Milliner all night, so it's Miller. And last year, one of the two victories, Willie, that the Bruins received or earned last year was against these same Olympians, and they also defeated Compton for their only Moore League victory. So they only had 2 victories last year, and they're going to try to at least repeat the performance tonight.
Don't sneer at that win over Compton. The Tar Babes defeated Lakewood, a playoff team last year. So nothing to denigrate. Football's loose, and the Bruins look like they got it back. Issa, what a great move. He fumbled it, then he pushed the defender out of the way so that he could get it back. I'm sure the defender had to be surprised that Issa didn't have anything in his hands. That was absolutely funny. Omar Issa.
This is the pitch play that the Olympians said they needed to stop. And this gets these Wilson runners on the sideline, and look at the ball is being fumbled.
But watch here. He pushes the would-be recoverer of Leuzinger out of the way. It's like, get out of my way, as Moy could have made the play. What a great play. They don't teach that one in practice. Omar Issa. Puono Bo Moy.
Boy is what they call him on the campus. Moy, you know he has to be somewhere around Samoa. And he certainly is a Samoan, and he's a big one.
Islander, no doubt.
Has to be.
Football is at the 25 or 26, timeout on the field. 1 minute, 17 seconds left in the third. As we are in the third quarter.
Want to take a little break and thank Max Fraley and the Ed.News crew and the ROP program who produces the football game of the week. This is our first maiden voyage with them. This is our 11th anniversary, Willie, but Long Beach Unified School District is producing the games.
And we'll take a break. Player injured on the field. It's a 17-12.
And the Long Beach School for Adults that produces Ed.News as well as a high school football game of the week.
11 years. First time you've ever come in from a commercial. 11 years.
I broke the string, huh?
my streak is snapped. And
got another.
That is amazing. They're not going to have a convoy. They're going to have a player carry Bell off the field. Bell, all heart, but no size. 5'5", if that. Maybe 140 pounds. And he was just picked up like a sack of groceries by Pedro Lopez. That was amazing.
And Pedro's no Jolly Green Giant itself.
He's no daisy. Issa goes head up into Marshall, goes by him, and gets a first down inside the 15.
What we're seeing, Willie, is what you have been alluding to most of the football game. We're seeing, I think, a fatigued Olympian team. And the Bruins are blowing them out at the line of scrimmage and making it look easy in the running game.
A war of attrition, and it is the tired and the weak that are getting beaten off the line. And, of course, it is the Bruins, a little bit better rested, who are taking advantage. Clock shows inside a minute. Now it's another player limping off the field, Terrence Hill.
Mike Witt, the defensive coordinator for the Olympians, really trying to charge up his troops to motivate them to stop this drive. This is critical in this football game. They're back in the football game for the first time in a long time. They cannot afford to give up a score here.
For the Bruins, huge game, because things don't get any easier. They face Edison and then Los Alamitos after this.
Ouch.
You're going to get a win, you better do it now. Those are not friendly opponents.
And Edison is the alma mater of Greg Gibson, the head football coach here at Wilson High School.
And I'll tell you what, if you're a fan of Long Beach High School football and you want to see some good teams, get out here. They're playing here at Wilson High School. You may never get a better chance to see some of the best teams in Southern California, in particular Los Alamitos, outstanding football team.
They're going to be very, very hard to beat with their West Coast offense.
They run, they pass. First week, they have a receiver score 5 touchdowns. Following week, a running back scores 6. Pass complete. Issa in the end zone. Touchdown. Nice play by Battle. He just bought some time by scrambling, and that allowed Issa to find a hole, and then he's in.
Nice play call by the offensive coordinator for the Bruins. They are rolling out, and they know that the defensive line is probably tired for the Leuzinger Olympians, and they're just Battle's having enough time as we look at the replay. See, this is a tired off the defensive line. You see how slow they're getting to the ball? Now Battle is scrambling. He has all the time in the world to throw, and Issa is right there on about the 3-yard line, and he just kind of walks it in.
And very disciplined effort by the offensive line not to go beyond the line of scrimmage and get an ineligible receiver downfield.
That's a great point, Willie.
Placement down, kick is up, and the kick is good. I'll tell you what, Hewitt waits just a little bit long on that point after, but he's able to get it off, and now the Bruins have doubled the Olympians, and with 8 seconds left in the third, they have a 24-12 lead. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more coverage. 1998, and thus far taking advantage.
Well, this game is not over yet when you have the kind of athletes that the Olympians have. Bell is back in the football game. He is capable of busting this game wide open and getting them back in the hunt.
Chaz Foster receives it and gets drilled at the 23. The driller is David Gomez. This place will have a lot more people than it does this evening when Edison comes to town, and then Los Alamitos. I'd like to be here. I'll be busy in other places, but those will be some good games. At least entertaining. Maybe close, maybe not. But you'll get to see some great athletes on this field as we do come to you from the campus of Wilson High School. Drop back by Foster. Tries to get it in the hands of English. English was already down on a knee. Well, last couple passes intended for Terrence Hill were on the ground, so I guess English was just trying to beat him to it.
Well, that was a point guard on the basketball team throwing to a small forward. So you got Chaz Foster, the point guard, throwing to English, the small forward.
End of the third quarter, 12 minutes left in the game. We'll be back with the fourth as our coverage continues. Stay with us. Long Beach High School football, first play of the fourth quarter. You saw all you needed to see. That's the pass hitting the ground, incomplete.
Well, now the Olympians will have to put the ball in the air a lot, Willie. They are 12 points down. They have to score twice. They'll have to get at least 2 touchdowns here to go ahead in this football game, at least to tie it and make the extra point. So you'll see them in a 3 or 4 receiver set right now. But that means that guys like the Rover and
one of those guys,
Richardson and Dorn, will be teeing off. I'm sorry.
In fact, here they come. Stevenson was in there. Dorn was coming.
Dorn has played a great game, number 19. Dorn has got at least 3 sacks tonight, and he's at his Rover position. They move him around quite a bit, Willie, in their defensive set. And Richardson, coming from a strong safety position, has been in there all night.
Leading the charge, Derek Easley. I guess that's why the Rover position, because he is all over. I guess that's why it's called the Rover. Just to
brilliant deduction, Willie. You're getting smarter all the time. That's
master
right.
of the obvious.
Absolutely.
Of the obvious.
And you say it so very well.
Back to receive Velasquez, punting situation for Foster. This deep, I don't think they'll be faking it. They've faked twice this far and been successful both times. But I think even a gambler knows when the odds are against them.
Well, they're going to have to come up with some stops now. The defense for Leuzinger will have to come up with not allowing the Bruins to get first downs. But this is a tired defensive unit. You got several guys going both ways, and as a result, they're not putting a lot of pressure on Battle. But you won't see Wilson throw the football very much from here on in.
This is where the offense that the Bruins utilize becomes their best friend. It, of course, goes against them when they're behind and they have to throw